The sun dipped beneath the horizon, its last rays clinging desperately to the peeling facade of the old asylum. Marla shivered, enticed by the whispers of long-forgotten stories that danced on the cool evening breeze. She stood at the entrance, her camera slung around her neck like a talisman, its lens reflecting the haunting shadows that beckoned her forward. This place, once brimming with life, now exuded an overwhelming stillness, as if the walls themselves held breath, waiting for her intrusion. As she stepped inside, the air turned thick with dust and the smell of decay, yet the silence wrapped around her as an unwelcome embrace. Her heart raced with each footfall, the floorboards creaking beneath her like aged bones shifting in their slumber. She raised the camera to her eye, framing the dilapidated corridors lined with peeling wallpaper and empty rooms. As she clicked the shutter, the reverb of the shutter echoed in a way that felt oddly synchronous with a distant moan, stirring an uneasy sensation deep within her gut. Marla brushed off the disquieting feeling, chalking it up to nerves now that she had crossed the threshold into the unknown. Yet the shadows felt alive, pulsating with an unseen energy. With each photograph, she felt an increasing weight on her chest, as if she were carrying the burden of the very souls that had once inhabited these halls. She forced herself to push deeper into the asylum, guided by an urge she could neither understand nor resist. Then, an involuntary gasp escaped her lips as she entered what seemed to be a treatment room, frozen under the stark beam of her flashlight. Rusted gurneys lay abandoned, echoes of desperate struggles reverberating in the air. She raised the camera again, her finger itching to capture the stillness that clung heavily like a fog. But this time, as she pressed the shutter, the light flickered momentarily, enveloping her in darkness. A chill rustled through the room, causing the hair at the back of her neck to stand on end. Just then, she caught the briefest glimpse of something at the edge of her vision, a shadow darting past the doorframe. Marla's breath quickened, her heart pounding in a frantic rhythm that filled the oppressive quiet. Curiosity wrestled with fear. The urge to chase the specter grew stronger within her, an insatiable magnet pulling her deeper into the asylum's malevolent grasp. She took a step forward, and in that moment she felt it. A deep, reverberating pulse weaving its way through the fabric of her reality. The air thickened, time curling in on itself, and the sensation of being both the observer and the observed engulfed her. With the camera still poised, Marla marveled at what she might unveil. A hidden truth murmured by the walls, groaned in the shadows. Unbeknownst to her, the asylum was welcoming her in ways that transcended the boundaries of life and death, and she was about to become a pawn in a game older than she could fathom. The moment she crossed the threshold of the treatment room, an intangible veil lifted slightly, revealing fragments of the past. The whisper of voices danced in her ears, muffled cries mingled with soft lullabies, intertwining in a cacophony that tugged at her heart. Each click of the shutter sent waves radiating through the space, resonating with turbulent histories. With every shot, the deep shadows seemed to grow fangs, gnashing at the edges of her sanity. Marla's pulse quickened, both entranced and terrified, as the asylum's heartbeat synchronized with her own. Then, the atmosphere shifted, thickening with an apprehension that spread like a noxious fog. An involuntary shiver slid down her spine, and for a moment she felt the presence of eyes watching her, hidden just beyond the beam of her flashlight. "You shouldn't be here," an echo of thought whispered inside her head, chilling her to the bone. Yet, that very warning fueled her defiance, pushing her to peel back the layers of the asylum's haunting secrets. Each shutter release felt like an incantation, summoning the past from the shadows where it lurked. The urge to explore guided her through winding corridors, each turn revealing glimpses of the asylum's haunted legacy. More photographs emerged from her camera, each a window into despair and madness. A child's shoe half buried beneath dust spoke of lost innocence, while a rusted lock on an iron door hinted at confinement and torment. Marla paused, the weight of sorrow drenching her, as she sensed the unrelenting grip of those who had suffered within the asylum's walls, their spirits imbued in the very essence of its decay. In an adjoining room, she noticed the bulletin board, tattered postings and faded photographs of patients long gone, their expressions warped by despair. Where light fell, fumbled fingers traced the outlines of hollow eyes and twisted smiles. She felt a strange kinship with them, a tease of understanding that both enchanted and frightened her. "Join us." The stillness of the room seemed to beckon, wrapping her in a tightening noose that blurred her sense of reality. As she prepared to photograph the board, her flashlight flickered and died, leaving her engulfed in bleak obscurity. Panic clawed at her throat, and she fumbled blindly, desperate to restore the light. But as the darkness thickened, she felt a pull, a gravitational force, resonant with dread that tore at her sanity, urging her to surrender to the unseen grip that tightened around her being. Chills raced over her skin as she fought to resist, but despite her terror, the longing for truth pressed her forward. Suddenly, the camera flashed a brilliant white, igniting the room momentarily like a beacon in the dark. For that fleeting second, her surroundings came alive, and the distorted faces of the past peered back with grotesque clarity. Gasps of horror erupted within her, for in that brief illumination, she saw their pain, unforgiving specters etched in despair and longing, their mouths twisted in silent screams. And though her heart screamed for her to flee, Marla stood frozen, caught in a web of fascination and dread, entranced by the very soul she meant to capture. The pressure in her chest exploded like a storm, overwhelming her as she stumbled backward, her feet tangled in the remnants of long-forgotten pain. Each pulse of the camera's flash further shattered reality, the asylum's distorted truths clawing at her understanding of time and space. Shadows writhed on the walls, entangled with the moments frozen in the lens, and Marla felt the air shift violently around her, a whirlwind of desperation from tortured souls demanding recognition. With a shaky breath, she forced herself to take another step into the darkness, unwilling to turn back. The images etched into her mind from her camera became haunting whispers, urging her to delve deeper. She refocused the lens, determined to capture one last story, a desperate plea for liberation that echoed louder than the dismissive noise of her own fears. However, the asylum countered her resolve. Its walls pulsed with a malignant energy, promising consequences for her intrusion. "Stop!" a voice echoed, distorted, echoing through the silence. It was a haunting yet familiar timbre, intertwining with the fragments of her reality. The very fabric of the air seemed to fluctuate, brushing against her skin like cold fingers tracing a path of dread. The entity behind those words opened her eyes to the magnitude of the darkness she had unceremoniously ripped apart. For the first time since entering, Marla considered that perhaps it wasn't merely her lens through which she saw. It was something else entirely, something ancient feeding off her curiosity. Marla pressed on, her pulse racing in tandem with the asylum's heartbeat, a living entity dissecting her every move. She pointed the camera unsteadily into the darkness and pressed the shutter. Instead of silence, the flash was met with a cacophony, a gentle wail threaded through the air, nested within the shadows, and she finally understood. This asylum was not merely a vessel of memories. It was an insatiable creature, hungry for connection, drawing her into its depths as various emotions raced through her. Excitement, trepidation, longing. A final flash illuminated the room one last time. The specters, once so muted, now filled the air with their stories. They danced, intertwined, revealing truths too grotesque for the living to behold. In that fleeting moment, Marla felt their despair ecstatically mingle with her own, her mind caught in a mirror reflecting her deepest fears. She realized the asylum claimed her as one of its own. She had surrendered her essence to witness the agony of the forgotten. As the despair tore through her heart, the last photograph clicked in the dim abyss, sealing her fate. The darkness enveloped her, and the world beyond faded into nothingness, leaving only whispers of her name threading through the cool air, a haunting reminder of who she had once been. In the depths of despairing shadows, Marla became the asylum itself, forever bound to the echoes of stories that would remain unspoken, lost forever among the decaying remnants of a life left behind. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more twisted Twilight tales, and look for scary reads on Amazon using the affiliate link in the description below.